OMG. It's your girl, Mary B. And welcome back to another episode of Something's Gotta Give. And I'm gonna tell y'all a story, okay? So recently I was just in Las Vegas hosting a convention. And I had a moment with one of my fellow MCs where he began to tell me that he recently experienced a person that was pretty close to him pass away, and how he would have never been able to foresee that she ended up being a person who committed suicide. And just because of how bright of a being she was, and he could never tell that something was wrong with her. He would have never, ever, ever guessed in a million years that she would have been the type of person to take her life. And I had said to him, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. And he was like, wow, I like that saying. I'm going to remember that. So today, essentially, I'm going to be talking about what I mean when I say the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. I have been told that I am a light being, and I actually take this saying from someone who had a pretty profound impact on me and my healing journey. He would always tell me that I had such a bright light, but the reason why I have the light that I have is because of the amount of pain that I've had to endure. So if we take a tree, for example, right, when it's a very hot summer day and you're walking around the park, but you need a moment to cool off, you look to where the closest tree is and you want to go stand under that tree, because a tree will provide the most shade. If you're ever sitting in your front yard or the backyard, you usually go under the tree to cool off. So it's this beautiful piece of nature. We recognize trees for the beauty that it embodies, but we also go to them to cool off, right? So whenever we're having bad experiences in life, we're going through something tumultuous and we need advice, we're seeking guidance, we always go to that friend or that family member or a counselor or someone that you watch online and you get inspired by because they have such a brightness to them and they're always so smart and they always just have the right answers. Well, why do you think they have that wisdom in the first place? How do you think they've been able to obtain such light? Because they themselves might have gone through a similar experience and had to learn how to shine instead of being cloudy, being jaded by everything that they've been through, right? And as someone who is full of light, it's a challenging task in this world, right? Because if you're a light being, you're kind of like a balloon. There's no limitations to just how far you can float, right? If there is not someone holding a balloon down, as soon as they let that balloon go, the balloon is going to go up. And the helium inside really can take that balloon to levels where we can't even physically see with our eyes. It's the same thing with our spirits. If you are a light being and your spirit is full of love and you've been able to alchemize everything that you've been through into positivity and goodness and just how can things be better? I choose to be better no matter where I come from. You are going to be like that balloon. You're going to be weightless. You're going to be limitless. You're not going to see a cap. And if you used to see a cap, you might get to that cap and realize that cap was invented in your mind. You're going to receive new ways on how you can receive new levels, achieve new levels, rather. And there are many more bricks in this world than there are balloons, right? So if you are a balloon surrounded by bricks, you'll never be able to float, right? Instead, a brick is going to hold you down. Let's use another metaphor. If you are a light, many moths are going to be attracted to you. You ever been out in a rural area or just when it's nighttime and there's just one light around? It's pretty dark, but there's that one light around and you notice that all the flies, all the moths are being attracted to this one light. darkness looks for light. And so sometimes we get surprised when people that we know to be the most uplifting and positive have the darkest of stories, or may go to such extremes where they end up taking their lives. It's because they feel the burden of being that to everyone else. They never really learn how to tend to themselves. Being selfless can sometimes be so hurtful to the person that is selfless, right? And moths and bricks, or people that are just full of dense weight, are not going to be mindful of what that light worker is going through, because they're seeking you out for their own self-benefit. And so if a light worker doesn't have boundaries and haven't quite figured out what ways to re-energize themselves to get to a place where they're full and they know their balance of how much they can give without self-destruction, light workers are going to be susceptible to extreme experiences of pain. So if you are someone that you know brings a lot of light and joy to others, but you haven't quite figured out how to balance yourself where you're not reaching depletion because of what you do for others, you might be susceptible to addiction. You might be susceptible to being overtly sexual, or kind of just getting energy fuels from anything outside of you, thinking that is fueling you correctly, but it's short term. And so when that fuel runs short, you're left even more empty than you were before. So I'll share a personal experience with me and not being aware of how bright of a light I was, and how much of myself I used to freely give away. And when I was doing that blindly, not having enough self-awareness of just how powerful I am, I would indulge in drinking, right? I would need to smoke. I would always look to other people to then take energies from other people who were full of light, right? I was also a stealer because I wasn't aware of the give and take balance of this spiritually. See what I'm saying? And I learned how to properly fuel myself. And I know when my cup is runneth over. So not only do I know how to fill my cup, I know how to overload my cup, because I take pride in helping others. So when I know, oh my gosh, I'm so full, I'm so happy today, I'm so bubbly, I just want to talk, I want to give, I want to help, I want to extend, I love being of service, I love helping others, I do that. But when I start to get a little quiet, my body's getting tired, I don't feel as present, there's the beginning of the flag that I need to be paying attention to. It's waving. That red flag is waving. That means I need to detach from my moments of giving. Doesn't mean I need to unplug forever. Just means that now my body is looking for ways of refuel. So now I need to practice self-love before I act on loving others. Everything is a balance in life, and especially if you are someone who is full of light, full of love, you are a light worker, you are a light being, you might be a healer of some sort, whether that be in your work field or in your personal life. Embrace the language of balance and know when you have enough to give, and know when it's time for you to retract, and embrace boundaries. Lord of mercy, I feel like in every episode I'm talking about boundaries, but it can be implemented in so many different ways into your life. And it's very vital for people who struggle with being an overgiver to understand how to know your limitations with just how much you give. Know when to give and know when to say, hey, this is enough. I think I've done all that I can. And be firm in that, because as someone who is a light being, we struggle with feeling other people's emotions over ours and putting other people over ourselves. You can never fully embrace the power of selflessness if you are not taken after first. You ever hear the saying, how can you take care of your children or anything outside of yourself if you haven't been taken care of first, right? You can't be the greatest employee if you haven't taken care of yourself first. You can't attend to your business. You can't be a great entrepreneur. You can't be a great spouse or a great parent. The list can be everlasting of examples that I can use. But the moral of the story is, when you are your best self, you can be your best with everything else that you do. And so understand that people who have such bright lights have an immense amount of shadow behind them. I have been through, I feel like, everything. And I know that can't be possible, right? But I feel like I have gone through a lot. And I know for the listeners who tune in, you may yourself be someone who relates to the fact that you feel like you've been through so much, or you might know somebody who's been through so much, and yet you still are here today working through things, trying to be better, actively being better, beating generational trauma, setting the new tone. You are someone who shines bright, and the reason why you shine bright is because of how much shadow you've been through. One cannot be better if they did not know how to be better. So just take this as a sign to know that your pain is your beauty. That no matter how bright you shine, there is a reason for your light to be this bright. If you have other people and you may be shocked at their personal endeavors because you could have never guessed in a million years they were like that, there is always a story to every character that's ever been made. If you are someone who struggles with honing in on your lights, practice daily what self-love looks like to you. And through that daily act, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem when you begin, daily acts are what help with your overall character. And when you start implementing something new, it'll become a part of you. And you'll just keep taking those baby steps, implementing something new as you go on, and you'll learn what needs to be implemented as you go on, right? Sometimes the road is only laid ahead of us when we begin to walk. You gotta move for you to know where to go. It's not just gonna all come to you with no action. I love y'all. Thank you so much for making space for me, growing with me. I send you love, light, courage, and wisdom to conquer whatever it is that you are faced with this week, on this day. Moving forth, you are more than capable. You are more than willing. You are more than powerful enough to change. I look forward to talking to y'all again next week, okay? Until then, have a great one. Bye-bye.